One of Jason Morris's many proteges, Kyle Vashkulat, made his Olympic debut today in London. Despite being the youngest member of the USA's 5-member judo team, Vashkulat is considered to have an outside shot at possibly earning an Olympic medal at 220 pounds.
It's all about competing, and then afterwards, I'm going to see every sport possible. I'm going to go to everything, and I'm going to live it up. I'm going to enjoy the Olympic Games like they're meant to be.
My name is Kyle Vashkulat. I was born in Ukraine and moved to the United States when I was 10 years old. At 12 years old, I started doing judo, and at 15, I moved to upstate New York to train full-time for the Olympics. At 22, I made the 2012 Olympic team for the United States, and after that retired, and recently came back to train jiu-jitsu at Gracie's gym.
How did you fall in love with judo? Why did you fall in love with judo?
So it was interesting how I started. I used to be, kind of the kid that got in trouble running around after school. My parents tried to put me in different sports. Nothing really worked out. They really wanted me to be a swimmer, and that wasn't my thing. So our friends owned the judo club, and he just wanted me to try it out, kind of see how I liked it, and fell in love with it from day one. I mean, you get to throw people, the contact, the being with the guys, and it just was my kind of a sport. So,
how did you start your training in judo? So,
training in judo is a full-time job. Usually, if you're going for the Olympics or high-level competition, you're training in the morning. Most likely, conditioning, any kind of drills, working on your throws. Then during your day, you're doing the gym, lifting, kind of flexibility, things like that. And at night, that's the fun part of the job. That's when you get to go live. Usually 4 rounds on the ground, 10 rounds standing, with some of the toughest guys in the gym.
Talk to me about that decision to move to New York.
I transitioned, when I moved to upstate New York, it was definitely a tough decision because my parents, at 15 years old, letting your kid go and live with somebody else was not easy. But it's actually at 14, I had a really bad injury to my arm, which forced me to be out for an entire year. And that was kind of the tipping point where my family and I sat down and we had the conversation of, do you really want to do this full time? Is this something you want to pursue? And I said yes, and it was tough for my mom, but she kind of had that mentality of, I never want you to regret not, I don't want to regret not giving you the opportunity, and she did, and super thankful, she got to watch me at the Olympics, which I'm not a parent, but I'd imagine most parents dream, if your kid's doing competitive sports, and it was a huge thing, and that's kind of when it was fun before that. Hobby, hanging out with your friends. But when I moved upstate, that's kind of when I went serious, full time. This is my dream, this is my job, and I'm gonna work towards that.
Who was your early influencers or your idols that you looked up to in judo?
It's actually, I was very, my idols in judo, I was very lucky to actually have both of them as my coaches. Yeah, when I first started at my local gym, you always look up to the Olympians. In judo, Olympics is the pinnacle of the sport, so anyone who's an Olympian, you look up to, like a basketball player might look up to LeBron James. So Jason Morris and Jimmy Pedro were 2 of the top coaches in the country. They were top competitors in the country, just won everything, they're on all the record books. When I moved upstate, Jason became my coach. That was his club. He was nationally known. They, came in matching uniforms, very Darth Vader style, black Mizuno, just very cool, very Cobra Kai, like bad guys in the room, won all the medals. So who didn't want to be a part of that? So that's kind of where, my parents found out that he did this thing where kids would move there and live with him full time, train full time, go to school together. And that seemed kind of like what you would do if you're trying to reach the highest point in the sport is, you immerse yourself with just that around you.
How much training would you say that you would do per day?
Well, the first insight into the life of an Olympian, especially in judo, is that you work full-time and you go to school full-time, so which is what I did. I worked full-time at Target. I was going to community college full-time while also doing probably 15, 16 international tournaments a year. Yeah, so in the morning, it's hours per day. You put in tens of hours a week, but yeah, usually it's about 2-hour training in the morning. The gym is up to you, however long you want to spend, about 2 more hours. And then the night practice, about 2.5 hours of just hard going at it. So roughly 6 hours a day, I would say, about, unless, you're doing any extra stuff in between.
Talk to me a little bit about like what that was like, where you live with these, other future Olympians.
Yeah, living with other guys was definitely a bit of a shock for me. I don't have any brothers or sisters, no siblings, so moving to a house full of guys my age, a little bit older, athletes, living together, you see each other every day, and it's very cool. The house that my coach lived in was very much Olympic, centric, I guess you would say. Everything's Olympics. He's been to 4 and then a 5th one as a coach. So, posters, toys, gis, just shadow boxes, like medals, everything. You live in that house, you see Olympics every day. So that's kind of what we all talked about. Tournaments, just, competitions, a lot of MMA fans. So that was a big thing as well. A lot of back in the day with Pride and everything, we would watch a lot of that. It was very cool. At dinner, you better be quick. A lot of guys live in a house. You better be quick at the dinner table, because the food went very, very quick. A lot of us, growing 15, 16 to 18 years old, we're kind of fitting into our divisions. I started as an 81 kilo guy when I first moved there, which is 178 pounds. I finished my career at 220, which is 100 kilograms. So yeah, we ate well at dinner time. Sometimes there was arguments. Sometimes there was, we didn't agree, but we always stuck together. We were a group, definitely a team.
Do you think that helped each other, having everybody there for the same common goal?
Yeah, that definitely, living together definitely helped you mentally, because it's nice when you're together with people who have a common goal. Like you said, we're all training for the same thing, so we're all going through the same peaks and valleys. We have our highs when somebody wins, the team does well. We have our lows. Sometimes you had a bad competition, injuries. And we know what the other guy's going through, which is, again, at Daniels, you see that mentality with all these guys kind of training together, going through the same struggles. And, some guys are a little bit further in their career, some guys are a little bit earlier, but that's the nice thing, is that the older guys help out the younger guys. Everyone kind of contributes to the process. So yeah, it was definitely, a big boost to be with people who just were striving to do the same thing as you.
Tell us about any interactions or stories you have with Rhonda Rousey and Kayla Harrison.
Yeah, Rhonda Rousey, Kayla Harrison, the big names. I can't say anything bad. They've been great the entire time that I've known them. Lately, I haven't talked to them as much, but they have their own things going on. They were awesome. Rhonda, so me and Rhonda lived a little bit together in the house with my coach. She moved there when she was training for I believe it was the 2008 Olympics, which my coach was the Olympic coach for. So she moved in, and again, yeah, she kind of lived with us, same as everybody else, training, sitting at the same dinner table. It was cool. I mean, she was definitely a top tier athlete. Even by the time she moved in the house, at that point, she has already won a junior world title, which, doesn't happen often. Junior worlds are a very, very tough competition. And she already had a bronze Olympic medal under her belt. So just to get to live every day with an Olympian, I mean, my coach was one, but when it's your coach, it's a little different than when somebody's there kind of doing what your dream is and they've already done it. Like, you just want to take in all the knowledge. And Kayla's just the greatest. She's the nicest person in the world, just top tier athlete. When you meet Kayla and you train with her, you see that different kind of eye of the, not to be cheesy, but the eye of the tiger. She's a competitor through and through. She trains her butt off, and she is just, she deserves everything she's gotten to because she put in the work. And that was kind of awesome to be able to be on the same team as her and see somebody peak in a sport. I mean, how often do you get to be on the team with Michael Jordan? It's awesome. It was definitely a life-changing experience.
So you actually train with Rhonda and Kayla?
Yeah. So, I mean, I didn't train with them. They were, a little bit different weight class. But yeah, no, same practice. Back when Rhonda was training, we were still, my coach used to have before he opened his gym that, where he trains everybody now, he had a little addition on his house in the basement. It was just a one-man area. We had to take turns going rounds because there's just not enough space. And yeah, that's kind of, I don't want to say that's where Rhonda's career started because she was already a very well-established athlete up to that point. But yeah, she was there with us, sweating away, And then Kayla, yeah, we didn't really train together with Kayla that much until the national stuff started happening. That's kind of where the national camps and we got to train together more because she was training at Boston with Jimmy Pedro, But Jimmy was my Olympic coach and he's one of my idols. And so we kind of, built that bond training on the international level.
What's it like to get selected for the Olympics? Talk to us what that felt like.
Yeah, becoming an Olympian was definitely something that it's hard to explain because it's like, how do you explain reaching a dream that you wanted to, kind of reach since you were a kid? In judo, so you don't really get selected. Before, they used to have the Olympic trials, which was the top 4 guys in the country would go and compete in Las Vegas, kind of round robin style. And then after 2008, that changed to where the Olympic Committee for the whole sport basically put a system where you earn points with international competition. So to make the Olympic team, you have to be top 22 in the world. You earn the spot. Nothing's given to you. You have to compete, you have to grind, you have to travel. That day, I remember when the moment finally hit and I became an Olympian, it was just, I called my parents, I cried. I mean, it's just forever. They say once an Olympian, always an Olympian, never former, never past. I believe that's a saying. So yeah, people say, oh, I used to be an Olympian, but no, you're forever an Olympian. You're always in the books. It's a very, very prestigious honor.
What's your official rank in judo?
I'm a first degree black belt. Part of that is because USA Judo is a little bit financially driven. So I could have gotten promoted, but more, I just didn't really want to pay the money for the next rank. It's just for me to pay to get a certificate wasn't worth it. I know what I'm a black belt, and to me, that's good enough. I can show you on the mat how good I am. I don't need a piece of paper telling me that.
What that was like getting to the sport where it's not financially driven for you.
Yeah, so finances are a big conversation in judo. It has been since I started. It still is. Funding is tight. Guys are struggling. USA Judo funds certain athletes who are high level, and as they should, but there isn't really much left for, the guys that are on the come up. And that's just, it's been hurting development. And even in my time, my parents and, my coach and just little sponsors here and there, they kind of tried to put the money together. But yeah, most of my trips were self-funded. Very, no income, like I said, full-time job. And you just kind of have to make it work. I know people that took out credit cards who are still paying them off that are in debt, because 15 international trips, I don't know how many people take vacations. It's expensive. So even if you're not staying at the nicest hotel, things like that, 5 weeks in Europe at a time, it costs money, food, everything like that, travel. So, everybody wants there to be more funding, but USA Judo just can't seem to find it.
Do you think that we could see more of a transition from judo to MMA in the future?
I think so. I would like to say that there should be more transition because, obviously the sports go hand in hand. Jiu-jitsu, judo, MMA, they're contact combat sports, and these guys should be, helping each other out and kind of, seeing behind the curtain, being here at the jiu-jitsu place. It's very different. Judo is a little more, I don't want to talk bad about judo here, but the clubs are a little more locked off. You're very much, this is my place to train. These are my guys. When new people come in, it's not always the most welcoming environment. To where jiu-jitsu, I came in here and everyone was so nice, and they take in judo guys and they're happy to learn. To where judo is a little more if a jiu-jitsu person came to practice, it wasn't oh, how can I better myself by learning a new skill? It was always oh, well, we got to show judo is better than jiu-jitsu, right? So I got to beat this guy and I got to give him a hard round. So yeah, it's just, I would like to see more transition. It's obviously helpful. There's a lot of moves that can help guys. Judo guys have been successful in the past. You get a Rhonda Rousey and Kayla Harrison. So we'll see. We'll see where it goes.